Title: The Final Gaze. Year: 88,750,000. Era: Age of Tempests. Author: Jeremy Levan. Rise of the Zodiac series, 2025. Chapter 1. The eyes at the edge had seen every kind of death, of kings, of rivers, of ideas. She lived at the border of the known world, where maps ended in speculation and fear began in earnest. People came to her when they were ready to disappear. She did not stop them. She simply asked one question: what have you yet to face? Then came the laughing hermit, cloaked in wind, times and silence. I'm not afraid, he said. Then you've hidden it well, she replied. He laughed again, too loudly, and the mountains echoed. When you end something, its echo ripples through those who loved you in it. The hermit finally listened. Chapter 2. They climbed the spine of ashes, a place the legend said would strip you bare of all illusions. The hermit made jokes. She made tea. They found bones at the summit, arranged in prayer, and a door. No handle, no hinges, just presence. She placed her hand on it. It shimmered. He stepped back. You came all this way, she said. I thought I could trick fear by pretending it was comedy. Did it work? No, he whispered, but it walked beside me. The door opened, not for courage, for honesty, and he stepped through. Chapter 3. He did not return, but the valley changed. Winds no longer screamed. They chuckled. The eyes at the edge kept her vigil, now joined by pilgrims who faced their fears with offerings of vulnerability. She never spoke of what lay beyond the door, but her smile softened, and sometimes she laughed, because facing fear isn't slaying a beast, it's naming a shadow, and walking with it, until it forgets how to chase. The laughing hermit became myth, and his echo harried. Courage. Om. Title: The Quiet Flame. Year: 88,653,846.15. Era: Age of Tempests. Author: Jeremy Levan. Rise of the Zodiac series, 2025. Chapter 1. The flame of identity did not burn bright. She flickered, gentle, persistent, in the labyrinth city of Lovell, where alleyways shifted and the strong taxed the weak for protection. She moved like rumor unseen, but felt. The bloom walker followed her trail of half-bloomed lilies, planted beside broken doorways and battered dreams. One night, he found her patching a child's window with colored glass. You mend things no one sees, he said. Not true, she replied. The smallest act of courage can shake the stars in your name. He knelt beside her and helped. Chapter 2. Lovell hid its crimes in shadows, so she brought candles, one in each alley. With each light, someone stepped forward. A baker who refused to overcharge, a musician who played lullabies during riots. The bloom walker watched, listened, recorded every story in a book no one believed existed. Then came the breakers, those who fed on fear. They shattered the candles. The flame did not fight. She lit more, and when they cornered her in the square, she stood still, and the people came, hundreds, holding light. Chapter 3. The breakers left, not defeated, disarmed, by presence, by unity. The city shifted, not with revolution, but with resolve. The bloom walker opened a library of lights, each flame lit for name, a story, a choice. The flame of identity disappeared, or multiplied, and every alley now lit, in every courage quietly claimed. Because defending the weak doesn't weaken you, it defines you, and the stars, they blink in rhythm, that every bravery you thought went unnoticed. Title: The Pride That Shattered. Year: 88,557,692.31. Era: Age of Tempests. Author: Jeremy Levan. Rise of the Zodiac series, 2025. Chapter 1. The Keeper of Cosmic Law spoke only once a year, in the ruined halls of the first temple, where stars had once been mapped into prophecy. She lit no torches. The darkness served her well, for those who came carried their own. The plague of the possible entered at dusk. Masks cracked, robes torn with symbols of forgotten monarchs. I seek absolution, he said. There is none, she replied. Only mirrors. He looked confused. She tossed him one polished obsidian cold. The mirror cannot show you your soul, but your choices will. And he remembered everything. Chapter 2. Lake wandered the old quarter. Once he ruled it. Now it recoiled. Every face a memory, every corner a mistake. He offered help. It was refused. He offered silence. It was needed. Then he offered story. Children gathered. Mothers listened. Fathers wept. He spoke, not of power, but of pride. False pride that sent fleets to drown. False pride that fed walls, not mouths. And slowly his voice changed. Less echo, more echoing. The keeper watched, but did not interrupt. She waited for him to arrive. Chapter 3. He returned to the temple, barefoot, scarred, carrying no mirror, only truth. I am not what I was, he said. No, she replied. You are what you chose. She handed him a lantern. He lit it. And for the first time, the temple glowed, not with prophecy, but presence. Because false pride builds thrones atop bones, but humility builds homes. And the horror of what was done became the hymn of what might never be repeated. He bowed. She whispered, "Now go, and leave a nearer idol, the compass in many hands." Year 88,461,538.46. Era Age of Tempests. Author Jeremy Levan and Rise of the Zodiac Series 2025. Chapter 1. The mapmaker of Lost Lands never finished a map alone. Every scroll he inked was incomplete in outline, a whisper, a question. In the river port of Havane, where floods rewrote the streets each spring, he was both joke and legend. Then came the scarred envoy, fresh from the southern campaign. Face marked by fire, eyes lined with grief. "I was told you know the safe paths," she said. "I know parts," he replied. She frowned. He handed her a blank scroll and said, "No destiny is final until you stop walking." She accepted, and they began. Chapter 2. They visited each quarter. The fishmongers drew tides. Children traced alleyways. The elders argued over street names lost to flood. The map grew messy, layered, alive. Interest blossomed, because the mapmaker didn't dictate. He asked, listened, wove. The envoy carrying the scroll into council chambers showed the inked chaos, held of wisdom. The governors laughed. Until the next flood, the official maps failed. The people's map worked, saved hundreds, and changed everything. Chapter 3. Avon abolished the cartographers guild, not in rebellion, in gratitude. Now, every citizen drew, everyone contributed. The mapmaker vanished, or finally rested. The envoys stayed, taught others to ask instead of answer. And the map, it was never finished. Because neither was the city. Because trusting in the collective doesn't dilute insight, it multiplies it. And when asked where to begin, the old saying returned, start where the ink is messy. That's where truth waits. Title: The Price of the Golden Veil. Year 88,365,384.62. Era Age of Tempests. Author Jeremy Levan. Rise of the Zodiac Series 2025. Chapter 1. The child made of absence was never born. She was created stitched from the hopes left behind in war chests and empty cradles. She drifted through the capital of Orvane, a place of opulence stacked atop ash, where golden roofs covered hungry bones. She asked for nothing, but she listened, and in the quiet corners of the merchant halls she whispered, "You can't claim the light while cursing the dawn." No one knew her name, except the mirror serpent, who slithered through vaults like memory and saw his own face in hers. Chapter 2. Gold became brittle, not overnight but steadily. Markets stalled, families fled, and those who once praised the treasury found themselves feeding on coin. The child sang lullabies to empty homes. The mirror serpent followed her songs. "You could be rich," he said. "I could be whole," she replied. And for once, he stopped stealing. He started writing ledgers of truth, chronicling every lie gilded as prosperity. They'd lit the archives aflame, let truth glow brighter than jewels. And the city paused, long enough to see itself. Chapter 3. The treasury collapsed. The king vanished, but the people was still breathing beneath banners they never chose rebuilt, with gardens, with clay, with stories. The child made of absence planted a tree where the golden vault once stood. The mirror serpent guarded it, not from theft, from forgetting, because unchecked greed devours roots, and no blossom grows in vaults. Only dust, only silence, until someone, like her, remembers the dawn, and dares, is sane, idle. The voice beneath the dust. Year 88,269,230.77. Era Age of Tempests. Author Jeremy Levan and Rise of the Zodiac Series 2025. Chapter 1. The one who sings in ruins had no stage, only rubble, only alleys where fear whispered louder than any hymn. She sang anyway, not to be heard, but to remind herself she was still there. Then came the hand of renewal, once a judge, now a fugitive. He found her beneath the ash-covered statues of the capital's fallen leaders. "Why do you stay?" he asked. "Because silence," she replied, his complicity's lullaby. He didn't argue. He hummed, and the ruins remembered. Chapter 2. Together they mapped injustice, graffiti, ballads, secret courtrooms beneath old theaters. They left no names, only symbols. The spiral for resistance, the flame for witness. Citizens followed, at first with whispers, then torches, then testimony. The regime laughed, until jurors refused to sit, until guards stopped enforcing silence. Until one night, a boy scrawled across the city gate. Those who have broken carry hope like flame. They know how to guard it in the wind. The city wept, then rose. Chapter 3. The hand of renewal stood trial, by choice, by firelight, testified not to innocence, but intent. The one who sings in ruins offered no defense. only saw. The jury did not acquit. They joined, because justice isn't always clean, but it is always heard eventually. The city changed its anthem to her song, and those who once hid now fled, because silence in the face of injustice is not safety, it's surrender, and song is defiance. With breath. Title: The Invitation to Redefine. Year: 88,173,076.92. Era: Age of Tempests. Author: Jeremy Levan, and Rise of the Zodiac Series 2025. Chapter 1. The one-eyed truth walked backward through the palace gates, not as spectacle, as ritual, in the court of the king in silence. Every entrance was an exit, every truth veiled in paradox. Change had not been welcome in centuries. At the one-eyed truth bore news from beyond the burnt valley settlements, thriving without decree, without hierarchy. He bowed, spoke only once, sat back, still defying you. I invite you to redefine everything. The king did not answer. He simply tapped the floor 3 times, and the court held its breath. Chapter 2. Whispers spread. The royal seal cracked. Old laws sealed with blood were open like tombs. The one-eyed truth offered no commands, only questions. What do you miss? What do you fear losing? And the courtiers, once mute, began to remember laughter, even debate. The king remained silent, but allowed it, and the court transformed slowly, painfully. Walls were painted, doors left open, and the stories once whispered in wine returned to daylight. Change, after all, was not invasion. It was revelation, uncomfortable, unavoidable, alive. Chapter 3. The one-eyed truth prepared to leave. Why? Ask a boy who once swept the floors. Because it is not mine to finish. The king for the first time stood, removed his mask, showed not shame, but scars, then spoke. Redefinition is the truest crown. The one-eyed truth smiled, left his king behind. The court never returned to what it was, nor did it try, because change, though feared, became sacred, and silence when broken didn't shatter, sang like bells not rung, but remembered. Title: The Horizon That Waits. Year: 88,076,923.08. Era: Age of Tempests. Author: Jeremy Levan, and Rise of the Zodiac Series 2025. Chapter 1. The Keeper of Cosmic Law was tired of mediation, of treaties signed in ink that washed away with rain, of people praising peace while building walls. She lived by the old observatory, cataloging celestial alignments and human inconsistencies alike. Then came the soul mirror, an emissary from the Southland Confederacy, sent not with demands, but with songs. You sing, she said. I reflect, he replied. That's what harmony requires. He stayed, helped with star charts, laughed at her notes in the margins. And one night beneath the convergence of 6 moons, she whispered, you can run from the storm, but it's always waiting for you at the horizon. He didn't run. Chapter 2. The border tensions grew louder. Armies amassed. The keeper prepared a final archive. His soul mirror prepared tea. You should flee, she said. I've read your journals, he replied. Harmony isn't won, it's woven. They built a dialogue circle, neutral ground. They invited both sides. No speeches, only stories, shared over food and tears and music. The first to break this silence was a general, the second, a farmer, the third, the keeper herself. I forgot, she said. That flaw isn't about control, it's about connection. The stars shifted, slightly, but enough. Chapter 3. The armies never clashed. They disbanded, slowly, not from command, but exhaustion, and maybe hope. The keeper and the soul mirror remained at the observatory, which became a meeting hall and a sanctuary, then a legend. Visitors asked how they saved the region. They always answered, we listened, because social harmony is not built through power, but through mutual respect. Daily, deliberate, messy, real. And when the storms returned, as they always do, people remembered the circle and sat together again. Title: The Path of Thorns. Year: 87,980,769.23. Era: Age of Tempests. Author: Jeremy Levan, and Rise of the Zodiac Series 2025. Chapter 1. The root finder was known for healing the forest wounds, but not her own. Her vines wove bridges, her roots fed the dying trees, yet her eyes never met a mirror without flinching. Self-doubt was her constant companion, whispering with each spell, you are not enough. Then came the thorn warden, wounded, loud, unrefined. He bled without shame. You high, he said, that I bleed out loud. That's the only way it scabs. She frowned. The unknown holds lessons that comfort could never offer, and for once she stepped where no vine had ever grown. Chapter 2. The wildwood tested her. No spells, no control, only storms, howling creatures, and her own fears reflected in every branch. The thorn warden led. but only barely letting her fall, letting her choose. And each time she rose, the doubt softened, not vanished, shifted from question to curiosity, from fear to fire. At the heart of the woods, they found the withered seed, a relic of her failed spellwork from long ago. She held it, and this time, hidden flinch, the seed pulsed and grew. Chapter 3. When they returned, the trees bowed, not to the thorn warden, to her. She had walked the forest she once feared. She had spoken aloud the names of her doubts and watched them echo into silence. The root finder shed her old cloak, left it among the vines. She took no title, only the name given by the storm, the one who stayed. Because self-doubt once faced becomes dyed, and growth is not clean. It is thorned, it is wild. It is yours to walk barefoot and becoming. Title: The Many Roads to Flame. Year: 87,884,615.38. Era: Age of Tempests. Author: Jeremy Levan. Rise of the Zodiac Series 2025. Chapter 1. The unmarked grave was not a place. It was a person, an archivist of forgotten heroes, buried in silence rather than soil. She cared no tools, only names. And in the canyon city of Vera, she etched those names into the walls with her voice. Then came the echo of desire, a traveler whose words sparked riots and revelations. "Why do you sing to the stones?" he asked. "Till they stop being heavy," she replied. He stayed, listened, and on the longest night, as fire danced between them, he whispered. Stillness could become prayer when held with holy intent. She lit the torch, and they walked. Chapter 2. They traveled the 9 districts of Vera. Each had its dialect, its custom, its shame. In one, laughter was banned. In another, all stories had to rhyme. They honored each one, learned, thought, blended. Their caravan became a classroom. Children rode with rebels. Elders debated dancers. The city watched, nervously, then curiously, then hungrily. Because what began as novelty became necessity. The unmarked grave read names aloud each night. The echo of desire asked what those names might build if reborn. And together, they sculpted possibilities. Chapter 3. When the Council of Vera asked them to stop, they paused. Then they invited the council to perform. One by one, the elders spoke and wept and changed. The city remade its districts, not into sameness, but bridges. The unmarked grave vanished into the canyon's far edge. The echoes stayed, recording dreams. Because embracing diversity doesn't dilute strength, it multiplies it in stories, in dances, in disagreements, and stillness, when shared, doesn't silence. It harmonizes until cities sing together, flawed, alive. Title: They Gamble for All. Year: 87,788,461.54. Era: Age of Tempests. Author: Jeremy Levan. Rise of the Zodiac Series 2025. Chapter 1. The cursed gambler wasn't always cursed. Once she bet everything to bring fairness to the city of Caltrix, a wager with the gods themselves. She lost, or so they said. Now she roamed with empty pockets and a deck that whispered of debts unpaid. The threshold keeper found her under a broken archway, where the wealthy built gates and called them opportunities. "You lost?" he asked. "Not yet," she smirked. Confusion is not a flaw. It is the trembling of truth drawing near. And with that, they rewrote the rules, one card at a time. Chapter 2. They hosted games in alleys. The stakes, story for story. The prize, access. A baker won ingredients. A singer won silence to rest. A child won time to simply play. But the nobles grew nervous. Fairness threatened their ladders. The cursed gambler offered them a wager. Match your pot with open gates. They laughed. Then the deck pulse cards flew, forming lifts the gods once feared. "Everyone plays now," she said, and the city blinked before it bowed. Chapter 3. Caltrix changed, not overnight, but the shift was felt like light through shutters long nailed shut. The cursed gambler left her deck with a child who had never been allowed to lose. The threshold keeper stayed to hold space, not power, and the archway became a monument. No name, just a phrase. All deserve a table, because love, real love, is not romance, whisper in shadows. It is equity carved into stone, and the gamble she lost became the game. Everyone won. Title: A Path in the Salt. Year: 87,692,307.69. Era: Age of Tempests. Author: Jeremy Levan. Rise of the Zodiac Series 2025. Chapter 1. The name buried in salt was once a forger of documents, of identities, of legends. Now she carved truth into cave walls in the city of Dusthold, where lies floated easier than breath. She wore no mask, and that made her dangerous. The vine-clad prophet found her there, scrawling a story of someone who never made it home. Was he real? he asked. Real enough to be forgotten, she replied. He offered her sanctuary. She offered him a chisel. And when the cave trembled underfoot, she whispered, "The journey matters more than any arrival. It holds your soul's fingerprints." He stayed. Chapter 2. They walked the old contraband routes. She recited names. He planted vines, where once secrets moved in silence. Now murals told stories. Stories of failure, of courage, of betrayal faced with open hands. The city changed, not quickly, not gently, but certainly. The salt patrols hesitated and disbanded. Children mimicked her carvings in the sand. Elders poured wine where the prophet walked. And when asked why they trusted criminals, the people replied, because they stopped pretending. Ruth is dangerous, but so is denial, and one is much heavier. Chapter 3. When the city council ordered her arrest, she surrendered. In court, she stood alone. No defense, no apology. Only this: if I am guilty, then let it be for being myself, and let every sentence carve freedom in someone else. Silence followed. Then the prophet stood beside her, then the judge, then a guard. The charges dissolved. Dust Hole became known not for its salt trade, but for its honesty, and the name buried in salt. She kept carving, as to be true to oneself is to be free before any verdict. And that is the story worth engraving. Title: The Breath Before Awakening. Year: 87,596,153.85. Euro. Age of Tempests. Author: Jeremy Levan. Rise of the Zodiac Series 2025. Chapter 1. The Saboteur of Fate was born with a clock in her chest, each tick a prophecy, each silence a warning. She had derailed kings, halted storms, undone empires by whispering the right word at the wrong time. But now, in the broken lands where time itself fractured, her clock stuttered. The fire that forgets stood before her, cloaked in soot, holding a key made of stars. Your end is not an end, he said. What feels like the end may simply be the breath before awakening. And with that, her gears paused. For the first time, she listened. Chapter 2. They journeyed through stillness, rivers frozen mid-ripple, earth suspended in mid-flight. In the center stood the heart pyre, flame that consumed memory to fuel change. But it slept. The saboteur reached into her chest, removed the clock, laid it at the pyre's base. Time resumed, but not as before. Slower, wiser, the fire that forgets placed the start key upon the pyre. It ignited, and she remembered every moment she'd stolen, every thread severed. She wept, not in grief, in release, because patience was finally possible. Chapter 3. They returned to the world. It moved differently now. Less noise, more meaning. The saboteur no longer interrupted destiny. She walked beside it, guided it when asked, and when her clock was rebuilt, it didn't tick. It breathed, like waves, like wind, like patience. She left behind no tile, only a grove where people paused before choosing, where awakenings whispered through leaves, and the fire that forgets watched, as each visitor became more than they had planned to be, because waiting isn't weakness, it is wisdom.